Anybody, I think you'll be last to represent Turner.
Oh boy. This may be my last words as a committee member during a committee hearing, and I just wanted to start by saying thank you, Mr. Chairman, for putting up with me for all these years, and the friendship means more to me than our professional one and our professional relationship, and thank you for that. I've made some great as I head out as a self-term limited legislator. I'm in a unique position in that I'm the only Republican in the entire General Assembly and the House or the Senate that voted against HB 316, ultimately the Dominion, Georgia. Now, I'm also the guy who started this debate when I started working on bringing paper ballots back to Georgia 6 years ago. To that effort, and was happy to see that we were moving to paper ballots. I'll remind the committee how hard I fought for the risk limiting audit, and that there were many interests aligned to fight the existence of the risk limiting audit in Georgia. And now it's become, so the whole vision behind all of that was to create a voting system that was 100% verifiable from beginning to end. And it's important that we verify every aspect of it so that we can identify areas for improvement. Those legislative changes. But we have to check. We have to check everything. And to this point, we haven't. And that's what's disappointing to me. And I'm most disappointed, frankly. Some I call brother who work in the Secretary of State's office. And for them to go and have a press conference today and spend 40 minutes in front of television cameras and not come answer our questions, beside myself, that they would not bother to come talk to us. I think it shows a heightened amount of disrespect to this committee and this body, and it's not acceptable. To that end, I authored a letter to the committee, even signed a letter to the Secretary of State asking for a signature audit because it has to be checked. Now, state law requires us to keep 2 years, and it's implied that so that people can, after certification, you're going to need a court order. But if I was coming back, I'd be dropping a bill on January 11th stating that we're opening that process up so that we can look at it. We didn't go through the RLA process and recount the ballots because of specific instances of fraud. It was to validate the system. We need to do that with the signature audits as well. And so I sit here in amazement. Republican who voted against the bill. My friends who are Republicans saying, well, there's problems in the system now. These were things that I tried to bring up at the time. And watching my friends on the left who were saying there are going to be problems in the system now saying, oh, everything's okay. The truth is probably in the middle. And it has been really hard to hold that candle of truth in front of the tsunami of misinformation that has been brought from. And when we have hammer and scorecard accusations, is one person trying this conspiracy theory stuff, and it's making it really hard to focus on the areas that actually need to be improved. Of all the stuff that we heard today, there were two things that stood out for me personally. We had a data analyst come and bring findings that matched a different data analyst's findings, and these two gentlemen never knew the other was doing the work, but the numbers matched. And you need to dig in on that because that's 15,000 potential people who voted in this election that shouldn't have. Ourselves to look at this bill because I believe that it was intended to be 100% verifiable. And so when you have independent auditors who have taken it upon themselves, must be a priority. That's not changing the rules. That's doing a job. Somebody needs to do that, and they need to start doing it right away. And second, I think if it has to be addressed legislatively, it should. And I'm just going to, one more thing, Mr. Chairman. We talked about this last evening. It pains me to bring this up, but the changing nature of the information that a hard copy of a memo that we all got as members of the legislature dated November 12th from the Secretary of State's office. It has a signature on it. On that day, he sent us a frequently asked questions memo. Any count? He says, this particular issue remains under investigation. The Secretary of State's office had a state election monitor and a state post-certified investigator who remained with Fulton County workers, even though some observer and the investigator remained with Fulton County workers. Scanning was observed by the Secretary of State's office at all times. And it's in bold letters. Observer and investigator remained with Fulton County workers. Scanning by the Secretary of State's office at all times, in bold letters. That same exact language appears on a second memo on November 19th, which will be in your email if you kept it. Then the video comes, and there's no observer in the video. Now I have some other video that shows the observers were out of the room and the ballot counting resumed. I don't think that is as inflammatory as people have seen it to be, but there was nobody from the Secretary of State in that video who started counting. And we were told twice, and I repeated this in public multiple times because I believe the Secretary of State's office, there was an investigator and observer from the office at all times because I had gotten it twice from their office. The video comes out, he's not there. They send another email to the legislature on December 4th, debunking. At the very last paragraph, this is what it reads. There was about an hour that workers scanned ballots before a state monitor arrived, but video shows those moments. They changed the story without even acknowledging that they changed the story. And that damages credibility. We have to be better than that. We have to be better than that. When I saw that, I was like, and it doesn't make sense. So I started doing some even more research, and I found this factcheck.org that the headline is video doesn't show suitcases of illegal ballots in Georgia, which, by the way, the word suitcases is an inflammatory term. It's very obvious for anybody, a casual observer, that those are ballots in Georgia. That being said, what was most disappointing to me was this part of the statement. In a statement to PolitiFact or to factcheck.org, the Secretary of State's office, quote, we have launched an investigation into why monitors from political parties left before scanning ended. The Secretary of State's office to make sure they were not misled into thinking scanning had stopped for the night when it had not. Nothing we have learned from the independent monitor or our investigation have suggested any improper ballots were scanned. The monitor, who agreed to be interviewed on the condition of not being named due to death threats faced by election workers, told us he was in the room from about 8:15 p.m. and when he left and returned at 11:52. It doesn't take a whole lot of math to realize that's a lot longer than the Deputy Secretary told factcheck.org that the monitor was not required to be there at all times, but she instructed him to return after hearing the news outlets that the county was going to cease counting for the night. This means that the Deputy Secretary of State knew the entire time that there was not an observer in the room when ballot scanning to us saying that there was. The story doesn't add up. Somebody isn't telling the truth. And it's not acceptable, Mr. Chairman. And I'm sorry I won't be here to help clean up this mess, but there it is.